welcome to Creations with X. Today I will be filming a tutorial on how to make a mini basket. So grab your hooks, grab your yarn, and let's get started. So this is a very easy tutorial. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start off by making just a slip knot, then cinching it up, putting on your hook, and chaining 2. Having done that, you are then going to go into this first chain. I usually like to just wrap the yarn tail around that way. You're going to single crochet 1. You're going to do the same thing again, just drop. I just like to do this just to make it a bit tighter. Just be sure to make the first chain a bit on the slightly looser side, because you are going to need to do 7 in here, in this loop. So we have 2, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I just like to give this little tug at the end just to tighten everything up. Now, I have a lot of experience in crocheting, which is why I don't usually use a stitch marker for this part, but if you are a beginner, I definitely recommend using a stitch marker, or just a piece of yarn, anything really to just signify the end, like where the end of your round, end of where you're working. So here I just have a piece of yarn that I'm going to just tuck in there and use as a stitch marker for just so you can see how everything looks. So what you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to go into this single crochet. We're working in the round, and you're just going to want to single crochet 2 single crochet, so an increase. Then you're going to want to do the same in each stitch. So 2 single crochet in each stitch. And this is just a note, but this is a pretty easy pattern once you get the hang of it. You can use this to, you can increase the pattern, like how many, you can increase the base, make it a bit bigger. You can use multiple strands of yarn held together at once, just to make a very large basket. Like you could do like 8 strands held together at once. Oops. Just to make a huge basket. I've done that before. It's a very easy, versatile pattern. But once you're done, so you've come back around to see this part right here. So you can just count your stitches. So at the end of this, you should have 14 stitches, because you did 7 single crochet and big around. So then you can just slip that piece of yarn out, put it back, and get started on the next round. So for this next round, instead of doing 2 single crochet in each stitch to increase, you're going to do 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochet in the next stitch. So it's kind of like a pattern. You do 2 single crochet in each stitch, then you'll do 1 single crochet, then 2 single crochet in the next stitch, and in the next round you'll do 2 single crochet, then 2 single crochet in the same stitch, and so on and so forth. So each round, in each of the rounds after, you'll increase the amount of stitches between increases by 1. So it's kind of like counting up. It's really easy once you get the hang of it. And then once you can kind of see like the roadmap of your crochet, once you're a bit more experienced, you don't even need a stitch marker, you can just see where you are. Like for me, I don't technically need a scrap of yarn telling me where it is, but this is just so you can, just for illustration purposes, so you can see what it looks like. And you should always end on an increase. If you're not ending on an increase, you did something wrong, and you're going to have to go back and look at your work to find out what happened. So this is 21 stitches. Each round is, the total stitch count of each round after increasing is a multiple of 7, because you started out with 7 in the first round, then you did then by increasing, crocheting 2 in each stitch, you increase to 14 in the second round, and then the third round will be 21. The fourth round will be 28 stitches. The round after that will be 35, if you keep going. It's literally just however many stitches it's literally just multiplication. So for this round, as I stated previously, you will be doing 2 single crochet and then an increase. So that's 2 and then an increase. So I don't know if you can see it, but you're going to be crocheting into, the increases always happen on the second stitch of your increase. So it kind of spreads out that way. So this is I'll just show you real quick. So this is the increase over here. I just crocheted into that, the first part of it, and then I'm going to do 2 single crochet to this part. Once it gets a bit farther out, it's easier to see. Like once you get farther up, you can kind of see how they're all together, and they'll kind of get stacked on top of each other. Yeah, for this round you will do 2, and each round the amount of stitches between increases by 1. So last round was 1, this round is 2, next round is 3, then 4, 5, and so on and so forth. And it's just a helpful tip to remember. This applies to any pattern, or almost any pattern. This applies to when you're crocheting in the round and you want to crochet circularly. This applies to increases and decreases. Well, it also applies to if you do fewer stitches in the beginning, such as 5 or 6 stitches in the center. So if you were to do 5, the multiples would be 5, 10, 15, 20. 6 would be 6, 12, 18, 24. It's still the same amount of increases in between, like you'd still be going up, you'd still be doing the basic of what I'm doing, like you do 2 single crochet in each stitch, then 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet in the next stitch. Just basically the same amount of increases, it would just give you a different stitch count. Okay, This is going to be a very small basket, but I'm going to show, but I don't want to make this tutorial forever, so I'm going to stop here. I am going to, this is the base. I have finished, this is going to be our base. This is the back, this is what the back looks like. That's going to be the bottom. So, what I do is, you don't technically need this stitch marker anymore. This could probably be its last bit of use, but what I do is, at the end of the round, I single crochet 1. So, that is a single crochet 1. Then I'm going to go around the circle without increasing. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take my hook, going to go into the V, wait, I'm going to go here, then I'm going to push my hook through, like so. This is I believe a back post single crochet, or a front post. I believe it's a back post because you're going in through the back. And you're going to pull up a loop and just single crochet as normal. You're going to go into the next stitch, and just do the same thing all the way through the round. It might be a bit tricky at first to know where to spot your stitches, but this is what stitch count. But if you know your stitch count, you can just count at the end. The most difficult part is probably the increases. You gotta watch out for those. Those can be a bit tricky because it's technically 2 together. You're going to crochet, but you're going to crochet into each one. You're going to crochet to each stitch in the increase. So, like I just did. The increases, the 2 single crochets in the same stitch count as 2 single crochets. And you're going to crochet to each of them. See how I'm just going in through the back and pulling it through? That's what you want to do. So, this part might be a bit tricky though, for beginners. But it is a very easy pattern once you get the hang of it. Just have to be mindful to not make your stitches too tight, because that would make it a bit more difficult to get your hook in there, or you might have to go down to a smaller hook size. And could impact your tension on the next round. But so we're just going to keep going, and once you get to the end of the round, I'll show you what to do. And once we get to the end, or I get to the end. Yeah, this pattern can be used to make much larger baskets than just this one. You can definitely make a larger base, and you can also use like multiple strands of yarn held together to make it thicker, larger hook. And you can really make some jumbo sized baskets. Okay. So you're going to crochet. Okay, so once you reach the end of the round, you're going to crochet into that final increase you did. And as you can kind of see here, you flip it to the side, you've started building up the base of your basket. So, at this point, you have that 1 single crochet that you did after the end of your round. What you're just going to do is what I like to do to make it look a bit more seamless, is to just take and do a regular single crochet into that 1 stitch. And if I flip it around, you can see it looks a lot different, more seamless. Now, you can forget about that piece of yarn because you don't really need it anymore. You you have enough of a physical indicator on your piece I mean, you can use it to mark rounds, but you'll have enough of a physical indicator on your piece to know where you are. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to kind of elongate my loop slightly a bit, not chaining, and make sure to flip your work. So we're working like this, and now we're going to flip it like this. You're going to go into that single crochet, that last single crochet you just worked, and just make a single crochet. Actually, I'm going to make this a bit tighter. Don't want to make it too loose, because you don't want it to stand out too much. Just going to make a single crochet, and now I'm going to single crochet the other way, all the way around. This is just to make it so that, you see how this looks on the bottom, and you see how this looks on the inside? I think it looks a lot nicer on this part, so that's what's going to be. This is how to make this look like the outside, or the outside look like this, nice and neat. Just make sure you're going into each of the V's when you're crocheting, because this part can be a bit tricky, making sure you're going into the V's, because the way the fabric is, kind of feels like it just wants to go into the one. But this is how it's done. It's actually really easy once you get, like I said, and suppose I have been saying, it's easy once you get the hang of it. And just a note, your basket may look like the sides are bulging out. It's like, oh no, my sides are getting bigger, what do I do? You don't do anything for that. That is just how it's not actually getting bigger, it just kind of looks that way from your perspective as you're crocheting. Don't increase, don't decrease, just keep crocheting, and it'll resolve itself, so to speak. Like you'll see in a minute. Like you see how it kind of wants to go all the way out. So, okay. I've just crocheted in that last single crochet right there. This isn't a stitch, so we're going to skip that. I'm going to just go into this stitch right here. You can also do a chain one at the end of this if you want. I just don't like to do it because it leaves a bit more of a gap right there that can be easily avoided. But you see how it, but you can do, but it doesn't really matter too much. But you see how it is kind of looking like it's bulging outward a bit. It's just your crocheting. It'll look better when you get farther up. Yeah, this is kind of what the outside will look like. You can see how much neater it looks on the bottom, the inside. But yeah, you can just keep crocheting as normal. Okay, you can see we're kind of getting to the end of the round here. Kind of see because the way it dips, bulges, because the way it dips, you can just go right on ahead, right on through that. see, if you look on the bottom, you can kind of see a little bit of where you joined. If you want to use like a stitch marker or just a piece of yarn to mark your start and end of round, that's fine. I personally don't use it just because I can tell using physical indications such as like a bit of a slant and this bit right here. You can see how it looks different. Just use that to line it up. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like for now. You can kind of see how it looks like it's bulging out. It'll be fine, it'll straighten up. It's nothing to worry about. Now, because I don't have enough time to finish this basket right now, I have already made another basket, another mini basket, that I am going to show you how to finish. Now this is made with the exactly the same as this basket. This is the same amount of stitches, different size hooks and yarns, but it's basically the same. You can see how it's kind of you can see this is what happens when you just leave it be and keep crocheting. It straightens itself up. Now, I am going to show you how to finish a basket and add the handles, because this other basket is not far enough and this video is getting long. So, what you do is, I flatten my work like so. Take the top of the basket, kind of pinch it shut. Depending on your basket, depending on the size of your basket, that'll affect the handle length. So if it's like a tiny basket, you're going to have very tiny handles. So what I usually do is I just kind of go towards the ends just to kind of line it up. And I like to just count out some stitches. So this is a very small basket, so maybe like a 3 or 4 stitch handle. This is 5 stitches. This is just a good baseline. I'll do 5 stitches. Then I'll usually just kind of pull a spare piece of yarn or something through just to indicate those 2 stitches, just to indicate where my handle is going to be. Also a good illustration. It's like, okay, so that's what the handle is going to look like. That actually might be a good amount of stitches. Now these are just for decoration purposes. You don't have to add the handles if you don't want to. You could just kind of leave it as, you could just kind of finish it off like this and leave it as is. But I like to add the handles because they're cute. Then to the other side. Sometimes you might have to like make it line up like this. Might have to move it a little bit just to get it to be the same amount of stitches as the other side. For this one I'm just going to use some of this color. You can even use some of the yarn from the ball. You could literally just go like that and pull it through if you don't have anything else on hand. Okay, this is going to look incredibly confusing, but this is what we got. So, what you're going to do, and you can kind of see it better here, but this is like the little bump indicating the end of my round. I'm going to convert it back to a circle, and you're just going to crochet to each stitch until you come to the yarn. So you're just going to crochet to that stitch the yarn is in. Then you're going to see how many stitches there are between this stitch and here. So I have 1, 2, 3 stitches, 4 counting this one. What I usually do is I kind of do an extra stitch. So 1, 2, 3 stitches and then a single crochet into this 4th stitch is generally would be generally what's done. But I usually do a 4th stitch just to add a bit of a kind of make it stand out a bit more from the basket, not just like sitting flat against it. So it'll kind of be more like that. I usually also like to do a round above, like a round after adding the handles. You can do, depending on how thick or thin you want them, you could do like one additional round on top, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. Another thing that's important is to stop your basket like maybe 1 or 2 rounds before you've gotten to the length you want, just to make sure, because the handles will add on to that. So once you've done that, you can just take your piece of yarn out and then just go back to crocheting. You're just going to keep continuing this until you get to the other side. You're just going to do the exact same thing. You're going to crochet into that stitch that's marked. You're going to just kind of count, making sure 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. And then I just like to crochet 4 or however many stitches. I like to just do 1 extra, or the amount to this stitch, and you're just going to crochet in there. Okay. And now I can just remove this yarn, move this off to the side. Okay. Then you can just keep going. And just pass this. So then for this, you just crochet into each of these chains. Might be a bit tight, so you gotta make sure they're loose enough when you first do them. So this is just to make it look a bit neater, and just be careful when doing 2 rounds, because the more rounds you stack on top of this handle, the, I guess, weirder it could look like. In other words, you don't want to make it too thick. Also, these handles, this basket is so small, these handles are strictly for decoration purposes, because it's tiny. And just make sure you crochet to each stitch. Then you'll go into this one right here. Oop. This one right here. Almost forgot to show you. Oops. And then you'll just keep going on through to the other one. And this will just be, this is going to be my final round of this basket, because it's tiny. And we get to the other side, and you just go into that loop. You can just, yeah. You can go into the stitches a different way. You could go into the, like that. I usually kind of just treat it like I'm crocheting in like I'm crocheting in a normal stitch, and just go through the top 2. It's really up to you and how you want your basket to look. And just make sure that you remember how many stitches. And remember, if you're a bit confused as to where to put your stitch, just go back and count the amount of stitches. Like, make sure you know the amount of chains, so if you're confused, at this point you can go back and count your stitches and figure out how many you've done. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. See? So that is how many chains I did, and that's how many single crochets I did in the chains. And then you're just gonna go back as normal. So we are kind of on the slope here, as I like to call it. It just kind of slants downward a bit. It's from the beginning. We are going to finish off the basket. So this is, you're going to want to pick a good point at the slope for this, but you are going to find a good point at the slope where it's trying to even out or starting to get a bit higher. So like maybe right around here, and then you're going to just slip stitch into that next stitch. If it seems a bit high, you can try going into the next stitch. If it still seems a bit high, you could always undo a couple stitches, go back, try a different way, like undo that one single crochet you did before slip stitch, and just try it like this. And that one honestly looks a lot better, so we're going to do that. If it looks a little, just to make it a bit more even, I like to do 2, but you don't need to. And then this is what the handles look like. This is what just makes it look a little bit more interesting. You have it up when it goes up a bit more, instead of laying flush against the project. It'll just kind of make it a bit more of a bridge. Anyway, that is how you make a mini basket. Thank you for watching, and I'm just going to show you how to cut it off real quick. So you just cut the yarn, and then you will just pull the yarn through the loop. I've just realized I've never shown this before. And then you just pull tight, and that's it. Thank you for watching how to make a mini crochet basket with me. Good luck with your project.